if black men
Yes.
and black women
Yes.
were to love God with all their heart, soul, and might, along with nothing else, get married, and by example raise their children,
Right.
if they provided opportunities by creating businesses in their own communities,
And fathers
make
were
sure
present.
that the communities are safe, respect one another, treat others
Yes.
the way you would like to be treated, would they be having the same problem with the so-called racism?
They would still. I think there would still be that problem, but it would certainly be less, and the black community would be doing much better than it is now.
So is it possible that it has nothing to do with racism at all, but the
No,
destruction of the
it is
past?
not possible. And if you think it's possible, then you haven't spent enough time listening to white people talk about black people. Because if you did, you would hear that there are still racist undercurrents in part of the white community that actually make it difficult. In the same way, by the way, that if you talk to non-Jews, you hear something about the Jewish community but the biggest difference is black people are much more immediately identifiable, and therefore racism has a trigger that is more instant than other kinds of prejudice.
I do want to tell you that I don't know what you have heard from white people, but white people do not hate black people. They are not discriminating based on color. White people are not the problem of black people at all.
Okay, those are two different statements. When you
They are
make
not
a blanket
racist against
when you
black-
make a blanket statement like white people don't discriminate against black
They are
people, or
not
don't
racist
dislike.
against them.
Okay.
They may discriminate. Do you discriminate?
No,
You never discriminate.
I don't think so. Not consciously.
So you could be doing it, but not consciously?
Anyone could,
Yeah.
sure.
You don't think that all human beings discriminate?
If you mean by discrimination, make a judgment between two people, yes. If you mean by discrimination, prefer one race over another, no.
I grew up in Alabama under the Jim Crow laws.
Uh-huh.
We couldn't live in certain places like that.
Right.
But we had family. We were better off then than blacks are today when they can do and live wherever they want. Why weren't we worse off then under the Jim Crow laws than the blacks are
Because
today?
I'll tell you why.
Why did white people hold us back
I
then?
feel as though you keep trying to put me in a box of either this or that. And what I'm saying to you
But
is
you
it's-
just made a statement about white people that's not true.
Okay, what I'm saying is I don't think it's either this or that. I think it's both. First of all, the reason you grew up under Jim Crow laws is because there were white people who were racist. If you think it's all of a sudden disappeared in 50 years, then I think that you don't actually have a real grasp on how tenacious some of these beliefs and prejudices are. And the fact that the black family has suffered from many other things, which it clearly has, and I'm not disagreeing with you about that, doesn't mean that therefore there's no white racism in America.
It doesn't exist.
Okay. All right. Look, I mean, I didn't really come here to try to convince you that racism exists.
No, we're just
I'm saying if you don't believe it.
No, I know it doesn't.
Okay.
I know
How do
for
you
a
know?
fact.
How do you know?
Because
So if I hear if I hear a white person make a racist remark, what am I hearing?
you just
It's not
hear,
true?
First of all, it's not a racist remark. You hear an angry person. It's all based on what they're saying and why they're saying it. You hear an angry person making a comment about someone they don't like.
But what if they make it about a race?
They're still making it about someone they don't like.
But what if they're making it about a whole race?
It's still about people that they don't like. It has nothing to do with the color. It has everything to do with the character of the person.
When you
or
grew up in
people.
the Jim Crow laws, was there racism?
No.
So you don't think that when in Nazi Germany was there anti-Semitism?
Let me say this, and then I'll get to that. I want
Okay.
to.
I think you're a little bit playing with words.
No.
But
In
okay.
reality, our battle is a spiritual battle, a warfare between good and evil. It's either good or it's evil. It's either wrong or it's right. And so whenever you become angry, it causes you to look down on your fellow man. It causes you to blame them. It causes you to judge your fellow man. But if you don't have that anger, you would never do that. And you're able to see people for whom they are, and you deal with them accordingly. But the moment you become angry, you lose that sight of that. Okay. Are you racist?
I hope not.
Are you?
What?
Are you?
I just answered that question. I
No,
hope not.
But hope not mean that there's a possibility you might be.
Of course there's a possibility. There's a possibility that anybody discriminates unknowingly. They've done all these studies, I don't know if you're aware of them, where they will show people subliminally, so quickly that they can't see it, a white person and a black person, and see how they react. And white people and black people react differently to different races. So when you say, are you racist, For someone to say, no, I'm not at all.
I'm not.
Not at all.
Not at
is
one iota.
Okay, I hope that you're right about
I
you.
know
and
I'm right.
Okay, then God bless you.
Yeah.
Most people can't make that
but
statement.
there's a
not
possibility
honestly.
you could be a racist.
No, you didn't ask me if I was a racist.
You say you hope. I did. I asked you if
No,
racist.
no.
You said I
right.
hope not.
If there's any part of me that acts as a racist at any time, yeah, I hope there isn't. But is there of course, there's a possibility. Just like
So
even
you
though
could
you think,
possibly-
even
as
though
a-
you think
a
it's not
Jewish
true,
rabbi, you can
Yeah.
possibly be racist.
As a Jewish rabbi, there are times, I'm sure, when I am unwittingly taking into account, without knowing it, somebody's race, color, creed, religion, so on. Do I judge every human being entirely on who they are? I try. I hope I do. But can I say I do? No, that would make me perfect.
Are there Jewish people who are racist against white people?
I don't know. There may be. It's possible.
Are there white people who are racist against Jewish people?
If by racist you mean anti-Semitic, I would say, yeah, a lot of them.
So let me restate the question. Are there Jewish people who are racist against white people?
I said, I don't know. You did say that, and I answered, I don't know. That could very possibly be, sure.
And then I asked, are there white people who are racist against Jewish people? And you seem to be yes on that for
Well,
sure.
what I would say is this. The way I read the conversation here is you have a great deal of confidence in your lack of prejudice in the world, which I think is a beautiful thing, even though I a little bit distrust it. Because you see, I have a much more skeptical view of human nature than maybe you do. I don't think there's anybody without anger, hatreds, prejudice, unwarranted discriminations, and we all struggle with it. The day you think that worries me, because I think everybody should. Maybe you are that perfect person, but I haven't met another person that doesn't have some struggle with the way they deal with and think of other human beings.
Let me add, I did have that until God took my anger away.
Okay.
And he brought me out of that fallen state.
All right.
And now I'm able to see people for who they are, so I don't struggle with that.
Good.
I see what's driving them. I realize they can't help themselves. And so I don't take it personally. I pray for the person rather than struggle with anything.
See, all I can say is at least my tradition assumes every human being has a good inclination and an evil inclination. And
Well, there is good and evil.
the evil inclination can never be completely conquered, and everyone struggles with it all of their lives.
Oh, that's not true.
Well, I believe
I mean,
it's true.
it's
I
not
believe
true
it's
that you don't believe that.
Right,
I'm saying
right. You're right.
It's true
Yeah.
that's not true that you can't overcome that.
Okay.
Where you can just live a
There
peaceful life.
we have a really basic division between the way we see human beings.